Kevin Roth here of Rotogrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that Rotogrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on Rotogrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels, and we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your Rotogrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @Rotogrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord.
What is up, Rotogrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. That is the daily fantasy handle that we have around the industry. We're talking tonight's relatively thin 5-game slate. You know, we're going to have some shenanigans down the stretch, but a week and a half. Well, I guess almost 2 weeks, I suppose. Next Sunday, I think, is the end of the regular season for the association, kind of winding down. And we saw last night shenanigans were abound. Last second man for OKC got himself a hammy, I believe. Yeah, man, goofiness is going to happen, and then that kind of is the state of tonight's slate. Although it's not necessarily goofiness as far as tanking. We'll kind of talk about it, but joined as always, returning champion, right? Keith, returning champion. You're a winner from yesterday, I believe so.
Go. Yeah.
Keith Eister, Eyes. What's the Twitter handle? Let's let the people know what your Twitter handle. You don't even tweet though, do you? What do you have against tweeting? You have 7 official tweets. What is that?
I don't know. I'm there for information. I've been retweeting my article a little bit from Scores and Odds, so make sure you're checking that out. But yeah,
people want to know how you feel about Will Smith. They're debating. Not enough opinions are out there on Will Smith.
Apparently, yeah.
Eyes EYS 819 DFS. There you go. That's an easy one to remember, though. I think if nothing else.
Yeah, should be.
What's up, Kirk Dees? How are things in your world? You gave us a nice fun pre-show conversation, regaling us with your old college stories, and that's an easy one. At Kirk Dees, that's it. Like Kirk Dees, you know what? You could be a better tweeter too. And now that we're thinking about it, you don't.
I'm moving silent. I don't tweet a lot, but I think I have some quality in there from time to time.
It's quantity versus quality.
Yeah.
You're a lurker though. You're always on. You're lurking.
Oh, I'm on. I'm always ripping on everybody out. You know, in Discord in a private.
You save your
Discord.
best material for like the Chop, whatever Discord you and Chop are in. You guys are, you know, that's whatever you guys are saying in there. That should be your tweets.
I mean, Dean, let's talk about you. You got a little spicy this weekend on the old Twitter.com.
What did I get? Oh, about college basketball?
Yeah.
I mean, people are so angry. They're like, it's like, why don't you like what I like? It's like, enjoy it, man. Have that. I don't think it's great, but why do I have to like what you like? It's all right.
I love college basketball. I could care less that you don't like it. So it doesn't bother me when you tweet that stuff.
People get mad.
Yeah, man. You know what? I'm at the point in this NBA season where I've now watched Portland like 3 nights in a row. Like, you know what I mean? Like and I've just had it. And that overtime it just ripped my heart out when Roby makes it. Like, of course Roby's gonna make a 3 to go to overtime, right?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's just so tilting. I mean, man, I don't care how bad you hate how bad college basketball is. It's better than watching the Portland Trailblazers. That is for sure.
I don't know how much. All right, fair enough. Again, this is the kind of discourse you get in the old Twitter. I saw yesterday's co-host TJ said he lost like 10K in that overtime, and he's not going to be happy to know, or he doesn't care to know. Like, what if he lost 10K? What does he care? And you lost apparently some money after the overtime. 2,000 of those dollars were dispersed to me. Thank you, overtime. I appreciated it. I was basically breaking even for the night, down 100, up 100, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, hey, how did you not stack all that nonsense, Curtis? It was good stuff there.
I had a little of it.
Yeah.
I didn't have Theo Maledon.
Yeah.
And that was the guy who got me at the end.
Everybody got there.
I still won, but it wiped out like $5,000 of profit.
Well, that's a bummer. Keith, how about yourself? How did yesterday's and by the way, as an aside, if you want, here's a take. Why is overtime 5 minutes long? Like, that is just dumb. Who decided that? Who said, okay, we're tied after 48 minutes. Let's play 5 more. Like, why can't we play 3 more? Why do we need 5 minutes? Like, just as a general, like, people, when you give that take, people say, oh, you must not have stacked the overtime game. Like, no, that's just my general take. Nothing to do with what's happening right now. Just, it's dumb that it's 5 minutes long. You know what's even dumber? Double overtime. The second one's 5 minutes also. Like, why are we doing that? Keith, there's a take for you.
Yeah, I don't have a response to that take. I mean, probably 3 minutes would be good. I agree with you. It could be a little bit shorter, but yeah, the Trey Mann thing messed me up last night. I had a ton of Trey Mann exposure, so trying to finagle my salaries around to fit in as much Maledon as I could. I ended up on Roby, but the positions didn't quite work out, so I ended up leaving some salary in quite a few lineups. Just ended up being about break even, but didn't plan the greatest. Didn't expect that Trey Mann news. Obviously came out of nowhere.
So the thing with me is, like, I right before lock, I literally just got off Trey Mann, and then I didn't pay attention for the rest of the night, and I like looked up at like 10 o'clock, and I was like, "Where's Trey Mann?" And like, thankfully, I didn't have him in my, that was the benefit of having one lineup sometimes. But
yeah, it was about a half hour before, like around 9:30, give or take. By the way, are we in agreement that Trey Mann's fine? Like, his hamstring's okay?
Yeah, I don't think he injured it walking into the arena. So yeah, he's probably good to go.
And I think they still won, right? Didn't they
thoughts
still
and prayers for Trey Mann?
Yeah, they were, of course, we talked about it yesterday in the Tankathon. They were tied with Detroit and what's the other team? They were in Houston, and I think OKC. No, they were in the outside end. I'm forgetting Orlando. My bad. They were the 4th team, right at the podium. I think they won though, right? I forget who won that game. I think they beat Portland.
OKC did win, yeah.
Yeah, on that the 3-pointer by Roby, and then how upset is the organization? What are you doing? Oh man!
I mean, I keep screaming at CJ Ellerby, like, do something, like, for like three nights in a row, like since Friday, Saturday, and then yesterday.
He likes the fake shooting a 3 and then not shoot a 3 and then drive to the basket and then turn over.
Yeah, he does this. He
does it all the time.
His pump fake, every single time, and then it's like
he gets a worse shot that's worth less amount of points. Okay,
he passes it to some idiot who's not even open. It's like,
hey, we got news. Paul George, PG-13, apparently is on track to play tonight. It's interesting because that is the nature of the slate. That's what kind of makes it kind of goofy. Not PG-13, but the other side of it we'll talk about as far as the Utah news, which makes it really tricky, Keith. 5-game slate. 4 of the 5 games are played between 7 o'clock and 7:30. Then you're waiting, 2.5 hours till Utah. I think Rudy Gobert is, if not the best center player in the slate, he's on the podium as far as the best center players in the slate. Of course, he's questionable. So we don't know. And Whiteside's ruled out too. So that solidifies his minutes also. And he was kind of a late scratch the other day with a leg contusion. The Clippers were unplayable as is. And now they're adding Paul George at a full price and stealing usage from everybody. I don't know if he's going to play 28 minutes or 30 or 31. I don't think he plays enough to justify that full salary. And he's going to hurt everybody else incrementally. So it's like the worst team that he'd be involved in as far as, I don't think there's anything good on the Clippers. Maybe you can play a Hartenstein dart, but otherwise it's just nonsense. We'll talk about it. But how are you setting yourself up under the assumption we don't get Gobert news before lock? Because of course, if you get it, then who cares? The conversation's useless. But just in case we don't get Gobert news, what's the plan?
Yeah, 2.5 hours after that fourth game tips off. So a pretty large window there. I'd be surprised if we do have the news. So definitely need some contingency plans here. And unfortunately, this is not a great game environment, but Gobert is a little bit underpriced. Bogdanovich has a chance to return too, which could even further muddy the waters. Just a very difficult situation here with this island game. The best thing I could come up with is if Gobert sits, you can pivot up to Donovan Mitchell and then down to Hartenstein. So if you had like a Gobert and Conley, that second combination with Mitchell and Hartenstein is like $400 off. So I would be making sure I have at least 2 players. I'd probably like 3 or 4 from that game. And I mean, that's what makes it difficult. It's not a game I would usually want 3 or 4 players from, but to be able to make the salaries work, you have to do things like that. Maybe leave a couple of extra $100 on the table to leave yourself a little bit more room to work. But definitely a situation that is going to matter for the slate.
And if I want to play Gobert a la carte, that is just there's obviously a big risk to that. Is what you're getting down, because that's kind of
I mean, if you played him in the util and he was your only spot left, you're left to pivot to like Reggie Jackson at 7K against Utah. that just doesn't sound very appealing to me.
Yeah, or I'm trying to think what big man for Utah would even who's going to get. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to project higher than Reggie Jackson. Was trying to think if Gobert doesn't go like what Wancho or Pascal, or we mentioned Greg Monroe's name in passing, Rudy Gay, like something like that. But obviously none of those guys raw points wise, I don't think would project higher than an RJax. Man, how about yourself, Kirky? So how you planning on handle this?
I came to let you guys tell me how to handle this, but like I get it. I get that Gobert's popping on like all sides. You get that big minutes upside potential, like we saw the other day where he got 37 minutes when Whiteside's out. So I get it. However, I'm not like that in love with Gobert. I know you seem to be, Dean, but like I'm just gonna, if I like my lineup like without it, I got no problem fading this game, because it's like all this value is, we've got a bunch of bad value, and that's what we're going to get here too as well. Some more bad value, right? So it's like, how much does it really matter? It matters for sure, but I'll probably convince myself to, if I like my lineup right at a lock, to just roll with it.
So if you just fade the game, and I like Gobert, but I don't think he's like the smash, gotta play him, to be clear. Like, but I think he's a good play. And if I'll run some optimals in a second, and I'm sure he's going to be popping in some. You said, it sounds like you ran some already, and he's popping basically as of a half hour ago.
I got him on DraftKings, didn't get him on FanDuel, and didn't get him on Yahoo. So I don't really care about him, to be honest with you. So I guess you could play you could be a better, more for GPPs play. What I'm saying is I don't think it really is that huge. So where's this? So what's the value going to be, right? It's going to be Wancho. It's going to be Rudy Gay. It might be Greg Monroe. We don't even know if Greg Monroe will.
But if there's too many guys,
Pascal, and he's terrible too. It's like, so it's just going to, Donovan Mitchell goes up, I assume, but we've got Bogey, he might be back too in this one. We've got, I think they're all questionable, right? Like, is Daniel House questionable too?
I believe so. Yeah. Like, he doesn't matter a ton, obviously, but yeah, Gobert, Bogdanovich.
Well, I mean, they're just that they got bodies. Like, they potentially could have a lot of bodies.
The Bogey questionable thing matters more for Mitchell. For me, I mean, Mitchell has been smashing without Bogdanovich in there. So, I mean, him coming back, I think would be a definite downgrade to Mitchell. So, important point there.
And Utah also is jockeying for position. We're going to break it down game by game in a second. Obviously, I just thought this is the most important thing to focus on is, Slate Overview. this is the thing that looms over the entire slate. It's like, to me, is this a huge decision point? Try to figure that out. Jazz right now are currently 5th in the West. Them and Denver and Dallas are all like a game apart from each other, essentially 4, 5, and 6, jockeying for home field, stuff like that. Home court, I should say. He is landing in what I see 60% ownership for Gobert on FanDuel. So like he's Beef Stew's getting more than him. It probably depends on what your projection is. Maybe you can get to Embiid as another guy. Of course, you can spend up on him today. Well, you kind of alluded to it, Curtis. The Utah stuff, potentially it's bad value, but there's values like in air quotes. But the whole slate is bad. You know who right now currently is the quote unquote best dollar for dollar value play on DK? I'm sure you know.
I'm not going to look, but I haven't looked, but I'm assuming if it's going to say Stanley Johnson.
It's the steamer. It's Stanley Johnson. and then it's Maxi Kleber, and then it's Killian Hayes and Carmelo Anthony. Stop me when you feel good about any of these guys. Daniel Gafford, DFS, like I'm okay with that. But like, Dwight Howard, it's bad.
Yeah, so I like Howard better. I'll take Howard over Stanley Johnson. I'll take yeah, it's all pretty rough, right?
It's all bad.
It's that's what I was saying, bad value. It's Wenyen Gabriel, it's Stanley Johnson. I kind of like Dwight Howard, so I'm all right there. But
so I guess we'll talk about that one because I think he's interesting too. And bad, by the way, is like, it's all relative, right? Like, doesn't mean I'm not going to play some of it. Math wise, it does sort of make sense and just kind of make stuff work. But it's not like the, highest Jones is 4K.
Yeah, you don't get the warm and fuzzies is what,
you
get those nights where, you get very uncomfortable. That's a good way to put it. Yep.
What do you think, Keith, as far as the value stuff that's out there right now and what may change is kind of the other important question, right? As far as what we're monitoring, we're assuming LeBron's not going to play tonight. We're assuming Anthony Davis at least got upgraded to doubtful, assuming he's not going to go. Zach LaVine is questionable. Maybe Ayo DeSumo all of a sudden gets a bump or something like that. But there's not a ton of great cheap stuff, and there's not a lot as of right now that looks like, oh well, if we get this and this, we're going to get a lock play here. And is that kind of how you feel as well?
That is how I feel. Yeah. The Levine news obviously matters. I don't know. There's DeSumo is really cheap on FanDuel, a little bit more pricey on DK. Still would be in play, but I mean, he's not a ton better than the Lakers value that we already have. Now the Lakers are in a really tough matchup with Dallas too, so I would prefer the Bulls matchup. But like the guys that would step up, they either aren't cheap enough, they're not as cheap as the Lakers guys, or they're just not high usage guys. Like Caruso is up to 5.3 on DK, Kobe White at 4.9. Like those guys become playable, but they're not like smash values, and they're way over minimum price.
Yeah, like Satoransky is another good example. He's now 4.1 on DK, that kind of like where he's no longer like 3 minimum. Guys just kind of sort of creeping up, but yeah, we're all dealing with the same slate though. Is there anything that's worth saying that before we kind of dive in and break it down game by game? Kirk Dees, you have like an overview thought process before, it's a 5-gamer, plenty of studs, Giannis, Luka, Embiid. What's your general overview?
The studs aren't the problem. We've got studs, right? We've got, like you said, we've got Luka, we've got Embiid. We're pretty good there. We've got Giannis. We got Giannis and Embiid playing in a game where that does mean something to both of them. That should be very extremely competitive. We might see playoff type minutes in this game. We might not, but we might, right? That's definitely in the range of outcomes. And I kind of like the value you just kind of clicked on better. Like when I'm making mine out, like the Satoranskys, even like the KCPs, even like Royce O'Neal, who could end up benefiting some, but like he's a guy that he's going to be kind of what he is anyway. So like I wouldn't really care either way. Like if how the news breaks, I'm like if I'm on Royce O'Neal, I'm going to be comfortable with O'Neal either way.
You mentioned Royce O'Neal. He's one of those guys, right, where his game started like 15 minutes ago and he's got 0. You're like, did he get scratched? Like, oh no, it's just Royce O'Neal. He's just like he didn't get a block, so he's just kind of standing in the corner. He's one of those guys.
Let's talk about Stanley Johnson. Is this in his last game? He played 19 minutes with 0 usage. Is that correct? Is that?
I mean, yeah, that I believe is correct. That's How does that make you? We talk about uncomfortable feelings.
You know what? When he was on the Pistons, he had like the worst. He would always be open for a three and have his back foot on the line and be out of bounds. He did it like 3 games in a row. Like I was like, this kid is just stupid, like
he was a lottery pick for Toronto, was he not? I feel like he was. Or maybe was it Toronto was lottery pick for somebody.
I know he played for the Pistons for a while. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember who drafted. He definitely played for Toronto as well. I don't remember who drafted him though.
Can I just say as an aside, by the way, you mentioned the Milwaukee-Philadelphia game. There are 5 games being played tonight in the association. 2 of those 5 games are being played on national TV on TNT. None of those games are Milwaukee-Philadelphia. How does that happen? One of those games is the Lakers, because of course. TVMA, hide the kids. Do not let them watch the Lakers tonight. Man, that's I just noticed that's wild. You reference it, Kirk D's like this Giannis versus Embiid's like that's appointment TV. That should be fun, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be watching that game. I'll feel a lot better after what I've been through this last few days. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Keith, you got we're kind of, I don't want to say killing time, but I think it's worth, we just kind of dig into this stuff because 5-gamer, plenty of time to break stuff down, plenty of time to get to your questions in chat as well. What up, YouTube? Hit that like button. We appreciate that for the old algorithm. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. Producer Devin is lurking. He's going to be taking your questions on YouTube and redistributing them to me, and I'll ask them on your behalf. Ask these fine gentlemen at the end of the show, whatever's on your mind. The more details, the better. Let us know if you're playing on DraftKings. We got Kid Yahoo right here on FanDuel, wherever you guys are playing, if it's cash, if it's tournament, single entry, large field, all that good stuff. The more details, the better. And of course, we prefer you guys to hang out in our Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. That is a free channel, doesn't cost you anything, don't need to be a paying member here at RG. All right. Again, fire off questions both places. Devin's going to be throwing them my way. We got anything, Keith, as far as an overview, slate overview, before we kind of, dive in and do our best to break it down game by game?
I think we covered it for the most part. Just overall game environments, blowout risk with Brooklyn, Detroit, and with Dallas Lakers. I mean, we have to play some of that because we only have 5 games, but that Milwaukee Philly game is the game I want to target, but they're expensive pieces. And that's why we're digging so deep for this awful value. I mean, that's why we're talking about guys like Stanley Johnson and Tom Satoransky, because I want to pay up for Embiid and Giannis.
I just want to see something now. I'm going to lock in Embiid and Giannis, like in the optimizer, and just see the rest of the players.
Well, it looks great on FanDuel. That's fine.
Well, because FanDuel's a different salary cap world. Yeah. DK really.
You can throw Cade Cunningham in there too, and DeRozan, and it's ridiculous what you get on FanDuel.
A buddy of mine was telling me, like, man, I put up like 390 last night in whatever the number. He's like, I can't believe I didn't cash. I'm like, well, you should believe it. I'm not going to give away the entire lineup, by the way, but you would. Oh, you know what? Gobert's in this too. Giannis, Embiid, and Gobert, and then a bunch of nonsense. You got the steamer. You got Kispert. There, Maxi.
Kispert, record breaker, by the way.
What record did he break?
Broke Bradley Beal's most 3-point record, most 3-point field goals in a season for the Wizards.
Okay, good for him. Yeah.
For a rookie or just overall?
I think overall.
Oh.
I know.
Wait,
it's
got to be a rookie record. That can't be overall.
Let's see.
I think that's a chop fact. I double check that.
Let's see.
That doesn't make any sense. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, you're right. Rookie franchise record for threes made in a single season.
But hey, let me ask you this, Keith. Do you feel, you talked about the potential for blowouts tonight, just 5 games? Do you think is that going to get into more likely than not than typically some more game stacks?
The problem is the game stacks are tough because we talked about Utah Clippers. That's a terrible game environment.
Clippers are worthless.
Yes. Milwaukee Philly is extremely expensive to stack. So to me, the clear answer is Chicago, Washington. If Levine gets ruled out, I think that becomes a clear game to stack for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I mean, if the Lakers can, Luka and like 2 or 3 Lakers could be interesting, maybe like that could completely fall apart, like without easily. But like the Lakers are cheap outside of Westbrook. I don't know. Just sort of spitballing here.
I think Levine plays tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago is also, playing meaningful games. Theoretically, they can drop down. Well, not that hard, actually, to imagine dropping to the 7th spot, which they, of course, would want to avoid. They're only, one game up on Cleveland. Toronto has the 6. They currently have the 5. Actually, they're tied at 5-6. Levine, it's just like a pain management, like an injury management thing with his knee. It's nothing like, I'm sure it's annoying, whatever it is, but he's been playing mostly fine through it. I would guess he plays, but maybe they think they don't need him versus Washington. Who knows? Give him a day. But that is the first game. 222.5 Chicago versus Washington. The Bulls, they are 4-point favorites there. You mentioned the body parts there. Most importantly in this game is Zach LaVine. He's dealing with I think it's a knee. Alex Caruso expected to play with his back. Washington fully healthy with the exception of Kuzma. Kuzma is still out. We've seen Hall Neto kind of get kicked out of the rotation. We've seen Tomas Satoransky drawing some starts. We've seen Avdia rising of late, closing of late. We've seen Porzingis play 32 minutes pretty regularly, which, 32 minutes is useful again in this game. You kind of talked about it, Keith, as far as a potential game stack. So, I mean, if you're stacking this game, I assume, obviously Sauer's a thing, but your favorite piece on the Washington side. It's got to be the Zinger.
Yeah, he's my favorite piece, but he's not the only piece I have interest in. I don't mind that price for Satoransky. We've seen him in the starting lineup playing upper 20s minutes. That price at 4,100 is okay. And Denny Avdia is the guy I have a lot of interest in. He has been playing really well lately, seeing more run. His price is coming up. It's 5.1K, but he's been in that 28 to 32 minute range here recently. The Bulls have not been good on defense. And I like what Avdia has been doing. I think he's a pretty talented player. So even though the price is coming up, I do like him a decent amount.
What do we have him currently projected at as far as ownership? 18% on DK. Yeah. Still some meat in that bone, basically, is suggesting the price has kind of crept up, but he's been paying it off and then some. And
we have him projected for 30 minutes, and he's been up as high as 32 in 2 of the last 3 games. So, and 3 of the last 5. So I just think that they want to get a good look at him. They're not playing for a whole lot at this point in the season. I mean, I think he runs out there for 32 minutes and he can pay off that price tag.
You like him more than Satoransky if you consider the salary?
I do for a ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I think I'm okay playing both, and I'm probably going to be playing both to some degree. Kirk Dees, what do you have as far as the Wizards?
Yeah, I like a few of these guys. So I love Porzingis. The guy's been great when he's on the court. He's doing everything. So you get the ceiling there, even though you don't have the ceiling minute upside. But with the 32 minutes of Porzingis is just fine on this slate, I think. Denny Avdia, I like. He does a little bit of everything. He's been playing big minutes, decent minutes, and has performed. So he's on board. Kispert, that guy played 41 minutes in the last game. Okay, so
how many fantasy points?
He's the rookie franchise record holder for threes. So you got to like record breakers.
Who did he take over? Right? They've done it a very historic franchise, Washington.
He said
Who did he take over? Beal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
yes.
Some would say he's better than the next.
Nobody would say
that would be interesting. Kispert versus Gary Bird would be an interesting conversation.
Your boy Gary Bird, man, he ain't it. I'm sorry.
He's the kind of guy you build around. But all right. So I'm Kispert is like, he's bad value, right? Like he's someone who's the thing with him is it's gonna be all scoring, right? So you gotta hope he lights it up from 3. Chicago is good at defending the 3-point line. But on this slate, I can make some concessions, and I'm fine with playing him. Fine with Satoransky. Daniel Gafford, what's the deal with him? Like, is he a value on your value list? Where does he rank
just playing? I think he's just playing direct backup to Porzingis. So they're chopping the 48, and he gets 16, and Porzingis gets 32. I think that's what's going on.
16 minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, what can you get out of 16 Gafford minutes?
Well, more than 35 Stanley Johnson minutes.
Not all minutes are created equal. Yeah. What is the ceiling there? You're banking on a Zinger
yeah, I'm
injury.
all set with him.
Yeah.
But KCP I can get behind. So like this game, I like this game. I like it. Just it feels like it's going to be tight. The Bulls are battling. The Wizards have been playing decent. Been playing better with all these guys. They don't really I don't think losing this game really makes, or winning this game, I don't think anything really makes a difference for the Wizards. But it certainly does for the Bulls.
Yeah, the Wizards are in this weird spot where, like, obviously they're not threatening to win getting to the playoffs, but they're also not even close to the tankathon stuff. They're sort of right there with the Lakers and New Orleans as far as wins, couple of wins behind New York. But yeah, they're just in this weird, there's not a lot to gain at this, from tanking essentially. I don't know, how tied are they to Porzingis? How many years do they have him going forward? You guys know off the top of your head? Not many, right?
Yeah, I think it's one more after this, but I don't know for sure off the top of my head.
That sounds right. Yeah. As far as the studs, Porzingis, Keith, is a little bit cheaper, obviously, than some of the other ones. And he's a really solid fantasy appointment of player. If you look at the list as far as the team. But if you guys are premium members, check out the grind down. This is kind of one of my little cheats as far as this stuff. Porzingis 1.31 DK points per minute, 1.33 as far as FanDuel. And you mentioned Kispert, like 1.65. You're just begging for threes. That's like the only way he gets there. He's not going to get a bunch of rebounds, a bunch of assists. He can score 15 points and make 5 threes. That's something he can do. But yeah, Zinger at 1.31 is pretty elite as far as the fantasy points per minute. And again, if the minutes are going to be 31, 32, somewhere around there, which I think we can expect that. Keith, again, he's got an injury history. They're going nowhere, but they're not pulling like what Orlando's pulling. I don't know if you saw them yesterday. Again, just blatantly obvious. Their box score is like 12 guys that all play 24 minutes, basically. It's amazing.
Did you watch Portland at the end of the game?
Yes.
Did you see that? Like they didn't, like he threw it just to they didn't even get the ball, like throw to like the half court with like a few seconds left to shoot through. They just
they didn't want to go to the
and then they went for a layup when they were down 3 points.
Yeah, the layup right before that. It was like unbelievable.
Give the coach a raise. Final thoughts, Keith, as far as the Washington. Are you doing your usual 20 lineups tonight?
Yep. They're going to be a big part of that. I like this game environment. I like the over in this game. Feel pretty good about the rotation with Porzingis getting his full run. Avdia has been playing a little bit more. So even though he's not starting, I feel good about his minutes up around 30. I like the Washington side of this, and the defenses on both sides have been really bad too. That's another key point.
Is there 6 guys from Washington on your pool? Saturansky, KCP, Kispert. Is Rui in there? Porzingis?
No Rui, not quite seeing enough minutes. The price tag at 4,600 just didn't quite get to him in my early builds. But I do like the other 6.
Talk to me about your Bulls.
Well, I told you that DeRozan doesn't score 35 points a game anymore. And so, of course, he goes out and drops 37 last night.
You're a liar.
Yeah. DeRozan's the guy. I like the ceiling. The price tag is right next to Levine now. So it'll be DeRozan's just a little bit healthier. I think he has the best ceiling of this group. He's the one I'm going to target here. I don't mind Vooch, but I will have more DeRozan. And then obviously dependent upon whether Levine plays or not.
So we do have a what if, like an if then projections for premium, just kind of pulled it up. And we are, if Levine sits, we are bumping up DeRozan's projection to around 51, which is a 12% increase, which would really be strong. Obviously, Vooch gets a 5% bump as well in our projections, about 42, 41. Caruso, nice little bump to 27. White, 31% bump up to 25, 26. He's another guy could be kind of interesting. DeSumo, 13% bump, 26. Javonte Green, a huge bump, but like he's coming from really low, down to like 18, 19 points. I guess if he's a floor price, kind of interesting. Is Patrick Williams just kind of falling out of the rotation? Is he not ready yet? What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm worried about the health. They're not going to run him out there for 20 minutes. So just no interest there.
Yeah. Just thought it was interesting the way when somebody fouled out and they didn't even put him back. He wasn't the guy. I think it was the Sumo, the guy they put in there. We can check out the court IQ on that.
Yeah. It feels like they might've rushed him back a little bit, or they're being extremely cautious with him. One of the two.
How much of a smash is DeRozan if Levine sits? Is he like the best stud on the slate all of a sudden?
Yeah,
top 2 or 3.
Point per dollar, he would be number 1 for sure. So
Yeah.
I actually hope I kind of hope Levine plays just to hold the ownership down, because if Levine gets ruled out, DeRozan's ownership goes through the roof.
Yes. Well, unless like you're playing on FanDuel, the Luka price over there is still really goofy. Like that's, man, against the Lakers, he's like 10-4. Like, what are we doing? I don't know how you don't play Luka, but we'll have that
But
conversation.
you can play them both. We've still
Yes.
got DeRozan projected for 45% over there with Levine in.
Well, I was just thinking like the best one, like dollar, but yeah, like it's the steak or the lobster. Just have both, right? You're gonna have both those plays if that happens, most likely. What do you think, Kirk Dees, as far as the Bulls?
All right. So I'm like I said, I'm very interested in this game, but like my favorite play is actually Vooch. You know, Bigs just crush the Wizards. So I like Vooch regardless, whether Levine plays or not. Obviously, he gets a bump from a usage standpoint. I also, you know, look at the fact that DeRozan was doing everything last night, right? And he's been incredible this season, but playing 41 minutes on the back-to-back here, and you get the easy path of like just feeding Vooch down low against this Washington front court that's pretty bad. Then that sounds like the play to me. So I think he's going to have a ceiling game here, and I like him on all sites.
Hey,
Other than that,
not going to hold you to it, but like Vuk is 32 on Yahoo, Gobert is 33. Like if you don't know, I'm guessing you're playing Vuk, right? What if you do know?
Well, then I think you play you know, if things break right in Utah, and we do know, we get some kind of word, then I think Gobert is probably the safer route, but I think they're both fine plays. So we probably won't know, and I'll probably end up with Vooch tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that.
Porzingis is 35, by the way, a couple dollars more center.
Yep.
That's interesting. That's tough. Those three, you know, that could decide your night.
And I love Drummond tonight too, which we'll get to, but
I like him as well. What about the fringe guys, Curtis, as far as Chicago? Of course, they get a little bit more interesting if Levine sits, but like the Dosumos of the world, the Carusos of the world. White is like always an interesting dart. Like his floor is low, but he's a guy theoretically could get hot and just, you know, fire a bunch of shots. As far as the fringe stuff, if Levine's out,
if they're out, then I like all of them. I like Dosumo, I like Caruso, and then less than that, I like Kobe White. But if he's in, I still like Caruso, and I think Dosumo is fine. Like even if he isn't, but it probably won't get to him. But Caruso's a guy that I can feel comfortable with either way.
What do you have, Keith, as far as the fringe pieces? Like I guess again, likely more appealing. Well, if Levine is out, but what's your general take right now?
Yeah, if Levine's out, play them all. If Levine is in, it's mild interest at best. Dosunmu would be my favorite, just because the minutes have been very secure for him recently.
Do you got anything else as far as this game, Keith?
I do not.
Let's talk about the Milwaukee and Philadelphia. 231 is the total. It looks like Philadelphia it's like an even, right? As far as the Vegas line, basically it's a push. Yeah, so a big number, high and tight, obviously. Embiid, not on national TV egregiously, going for that MVP against Giannis. And I believe, let me double check, but I'm pretty sure these teams are both playing island games. Is that correct? Have you guys looked at that? I'm pretty sure that's island game for Milwaukee, and Philadelphia does not play again until Thursday as well. All right. And for what it's worth, Giannis is probable. So I assume, we can only assume that Giannis is going to play tonight. Holiday expected to play. Ibaka should be available. Philadelphia fully healthy. So you can only have one of these studs here, Kirk Dees. One of them. You can have Giannis. You can have Embiid. Obviously, lineup construction matters too. I think Giannis is the better play just because we already talked about some centers we liked. So just lineup construction wise, Giannis is probably better than Embiid. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, so the 76ers are a good defensive team, and they have some good defensive players. However, they don't quite have anyone that quite can match up well with Giannis, right? Like Tybal is not like Tybal is just way too small to be, you know, and so like that takes away their one really strong defender. Embiid doesn't, you know, is way too slow, you know, to guard Giannis. So I think he just creates a matchup problem for this team. They're going to have to throw a lot of doubles, but he's probably going to match up with Tobias. And yeah, give me Giannis in this instance. So I love him tonight. Like I said, I think this game is going to be extremely competitive. I think there's going to be like a playoff atmosphere to it, and I love the matchup for him. So and then we have some warts with Luka with just that game, him potentially not seeing any fourth quarter, or at least his last fourth quarter rotation minutes, because what should be a blow. I mean, it would shock me. Like absolute, like I don't get shocked and I don't play blowout angles. Usually I just kind of let it go and say I can't predict it. But this one, I will be shocked if the Lakers keep this competitive for 4 quarters. I mean, they're relying on Russell Westbrook tonight against one of the top defenses in the NBA, so and Stanley Johnson and Wenyen Gabriel and Austin Reeves. And I mean, this lineup is such trash. Like,
11.5 seems too low, right? As far as the number, like, because if it's a 12-point game or an 11-point game with 3 minutes to go, like Luka's out there, and like if Vegas is right, like that's just the thought. And is the public not aware of the Lakers are terrible? Have they not been told enough at this point? That number just seems a little bit low to me.
Yeah, seems to me too. But who knows? I do want to pat myself on the back. I swept the board for the second straight week on UFC bets, so I'm riding high on my UFC bets, and now we get no UFC shows this weekend.
Do you do content? I think Keith does content for UFC.
I don't do content. I don't do content for it. No.
I do the expert survey for it. Yeah.
Oh, well, what do you want to do a Kirk these?
Chop has talked about me coming on for a show. I don't, because I'm not like an expert. Like I have certain experts that I follow.
Doesn't stop some other people from going on.
I do the research, but I would feel like a total fraud to get on there and be like, just copy exactly what the research that I value and then,
regurgitate.
Yeah. But
well, congrats. Do you play you play pretty hard?
I hit the nuts too. I had the top in the 15, whatever, the big one, me and Blender, Blender. He was a big split talking about Duke. Yeah, I was in that split, 7K or whatever, but
hey, not bad. Take it.
But anyway, I don't know. I was going off track. But
congratulations.
Yeah, I just want to pat myself on the back for once.
Does Chop still do his video? Like, he had a video series of MMA? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, but he wasn't what he loved doing. So I think they found someone for like the next one. I don't know if he's going to continue doing them or not, but I think he was like off like for the last one or two of them.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. You'd have to speak directly to Chop on that.
Mike is the main guy. Buddha. Yeah. So I don't know what Chop's schedule is or how they decide. Sometimes PSU is on there with Buddha, but yeah, Buddha is on pretty much weekly.
Outside of Embiid, of course, you can play Harden. Besides that, I don't know if you really want anything on Philadelphia. You tell me otherwise.
You gotta like the spot for Brook Lopez. He's historically always played pretty well against Embiid, shockingly enough, and they're gonna need him in this case. Like who else? Like I can't see Bobby Portis hanging with Embiid. I think that would be an absolute deadly nightmare matchup. So I think we'll get some extra minutes here from Brook Lopez tonight. So that's a play I kind of like on the Milwaukee side. And then you can always play Middleton or Holiday. Obviously I prefer Giannis, but if I'm not playing Giannis, those guys are definitely in consideration.
You mentioned Lopez, like we're talking about, opportunity cost to centers. FanDuel, you can only roster 1. DK, you can roster 2. Yahoo, you can roster 2 as well. What does Lopez have to give you to make it worth playing him? It's kind of like, what are you shooting for?
I mean, he's probably going to give you 20 to 25 fantasy points, but I'm shooting for a little bit more from some extra minutes in this matchup.
Yeah. Like if he gives me 22, I don't want it.
And again, I'm really what I'm shooting for is to like having beating some of this other bad value that's out there.
Yeah, he probably outscores like Stanley Johnson, or he might outscore Stanley Johnson.
Gabriel potentially.
But it's a different position. Positionality matters too, right? So that's just I'm just kind of trying to think about that. You have a thought on that, Keith?
Sorry, what was it on Brook Lopez?
Yeah, I guess. It was a more detailed. Yeah. It was a more detailed question, but you can just.
Sorry, I was looking up something else.
I mean, all you got to do tonight. The key to the slate is to play Brolo and Dwight Howard, and then fill in from there. That sounds like the way to start your builds.
I mean, yeah, that's a good YOLO spot. It's not completely insane, actually, but go ahead. Well, what do you have, Keith, as far as Lopez?
I mean, I just don't know that the minutes are there. I get it that we're desperately searching for value, but what he's been up at 28 was his max. I mean, if you get 28 out of him, that's really good. Obviously, that'll work at 4,200. So I don't mind it, but not one of my preferred value guys. I think you could save a little bit with Howard, or maybe something opens up in Utah.
Embiid, not the greatest rebounding games against Lopez. I just pulled up his game log for what it's worth. 3, 11, 11, 11, 13, 15, 19, 7. That's not terrible, but Lopez can drag you away from the basket sometimes. Just sort of thinking about that, but he had no problem scoring on it for what it's. Well, no, actually, I was looking at minutes. My bad. That's totally different. 24, 17, 19, 31, 34, 40, 30. Okay. I mean, I'm not totally a BBP guy, but I think there's some guys that, sort of shut certain players down.
Got me psyched for baseball, baby.
Yeah. I was making like the basketball BBP thing. It's different, qualifiers, but I'm excited for baseball too. Yeah. It's 10 days away or something like that. Is my math good? Next Friday, next Thursday, whatever it is. We're going to have some double shows or maybe some crossover shows. It's gonna be a lot going down. Stay tuned for that. Baseball DFS, a lot of fun.
Cheese. Start the morning. You get a cup of coffee and then you just start with cheese, and then you're on your way.
Yeah. Does he crush MMA too? Because he crushes every sport. You don't even realize.
Probably. I don't think I've seen him in MMA, but probably.
CS:GO, I think he plays. Like hockey, he plays. I know I've seen him win these things, and you think of he's just a baseball guy. Not really. Yeah. Keith, what else do you have for me as far as Milwaukee? How much are you prioritizing Middleton, Holiday? I don't think you get much further than that.
Yeah, whenever Giannis is in, I never like playing those guys. That's why I said this game is tough to stack, because Giannis is the one I want to play, and Embiid's the one I want to play on the other side, and to stack them together, it's pretty difficult. Yeah, mainly just Giannis for me.
Give me your favorite 2 players in this game, Kirk Hughes.
Well,
everything considered,
it's what I'm going on a limb here. I think James Harden comes to life here tonight, and I think Giannis Harden stack here. Those are my 2 guys, but I'll say Brolo is my best cheap guy in this game.
What's Harden's ownership? Because I feel like people aren't playing him for a 5 game.
I mean, this game's really low owned, especially on DK, where it's really hard to fit two of the studs in.
Harden 17%. Wouldn't surprise me if it's 10-2. It's kind of a reasonable price. After that, falls off the table. Harris at 5, Embiid at 19. Yeah. Do you think, again, you're not holding this, Keith, but you think you'll have more than 18% Harden in your 20 lineups?
I will, just because I'm on the Luka fade. I think Kirk Dees was alluding to that as well, but I'm just going to play that game blows out and Luka doesn't quite get there. So I'm going to be overweight on every part of this game.
Did we miss anything? Like, it's basically the big stars that show. Is there anything else?
What was distracting me? I was looking into Tyrese Maxey. That the price is not $7K anymore, and dude has been shooting threes with Harden in this lineup. I think there's some ceiling there for Tyrese Maxey. It's not a comfortable play. It's not a single entry or 3 max play, but if you're running 150 out, I would have some Tyrese Maxey.
He got 21 shots up last game.
Yeah. And he's been over 40 points with Harden, 40 fantasy points with Harden in the lineup a couple of times with 20 actual points.
We got anything else here? Moving on. We're talking the Lakers.
I just locked in Harden and Giannis, and I just hit, with my projections that I got at the moment. And I actually like the entire lineup.
What site?
For DraftKings, which is the toughest to build. I mean, obviously you're going to like it on FanDuel, but it's got Denny Avdia, Bagley, Dwight Howard.
Don't give the entire thing away.
I'll give it all. I'll leave out forget I didn't say Killian Hayes. I'll leave out the next play, and then you got Drummond in there, and we're good to go. I like it. So that's I'll probably enter that.
Well, there you go. Well, Blender's gonna be very upset when you and a bunch of your friends finish first place. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Lakers. Not wanting to talk about that as long as possible, but here we are. Of course, the Lakers, LeBron. I don't think he's officially ruled out, but come on, we're assuming he's not. He really severely turned his ankle. He's got that knee. They're essentially basically, well, they have a chance to make the play-in game, but they're sputtering. I saw 538 hit him at 4% the other day as far as making the playoffs. That's not the play-in nonsense. That's making the playoffs.
Getting through getting through the play-in. That's getting through the play-in games, right?
Yeah. That's being in the top 8 because technically the play-in stuff is not the playoffs. I don't think, right? Let's see if it's down to 3%, by the way. It's when it plummeted even more. That's unfortunate, man. As far as Dallas, like, they're fully healthy with the exception of Trey Burke, doesn't matter. Sterling Brown doesn't matter. Jay's been out for a long time. Luka, well, start there, Keith, because he is going to be the guy that people are going to want to play. You see Luka versus the Lakers, and that looks like a triple double on layaway, potential blowout, obviously, but you're going against the grain and using a little bit of leverage, ownership against the field. And why did you come to that stand?
Yeah, I mean, he's over double owned. We've got Luka projecting for 39% owned on DraftKings. You've got Giannis, Embiid, Durant, Kyrie, Harden, all of them under 20%, well under 20%, some of them. I'll just take my chances with that group and hope that they can outscore Luka. Obviously, a phenomenal matchup against the Lakers. If he doesn't get his full fourth quarter run, though, maybe he falls a couple rebounds and assists short of the triple-double. I mean, at 11-4, he needs 25 points and a triple-double, basically, to pay that off. If he falls a little bit short of that, and Embiid or one of the other guys just absolutely smashes and gets you 65, 70, you're ahead of 40% of the field.
You're playing predominantly on DK tonight, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, the FanDuel price at 10.5.
Yeah, it's definitely a harder fade. Yep.
Yeah, it's a cheaper price and you get better stuff on FanDuel. So it's like double whammy. If you're thinking about fading Luka on FanDuel, it's tough, man. Yeah. What about the other pieces? Are you playing anybody on Dallas, or is this game that's like mostly just like I'm basically going to fade it and hopefully it blows out and gets ugly and nobody kind of gets there? Is that the thought?
Yeah, that's kind of the thought. I mean, Dinwiddie's price is too high for Luka being out there. Same with Brunson. Like, I just don't like playing the rest of the guys on Dallas typically. And I mean, everything else beyond those two is low usage. So, yeah, don't mind a shot on Dinwiddie or Brunson if you want to do it, but I won't have a ton.
If you play Westbrook, would you feel obligated to run it back with a Luka, something like that? Like if you're doing something like that? I don't know if you're playing Westbrook or not. I assume you're not playing a lot of Westbrook if you're not playing a lot of Luka.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the play is the Lakers are failing, which means Westbrook is failing. So maybe I run out about with the field just because he is a lot lower priced and he doesn't need to do as much. Maybe he keeps the game close until the third quarter, and then I don't know, Dallas pulls away a little bit and Luka he only plays 30 minutes instead of 34 and falls just short, but Westbrook still gets there. So I'll roll out a little bit of Westbrook by himself, but not a ton.
Some of these Lakers, though, I think can like start or projected for a decent amount of minutes and still play in a blowout just because, you got to play 5 guys. Maybe like a Gabriel type could potentially be that guy. THT's a guy that can get some run. What are your thoughts as far as the Laker cheapies? Like, I know you're not on any of the Dallas stuff, basically for the reasons you given, but like some of the Lakers guys are so cheap, and in theory, like they're fairly well. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, building. If I'm playing Giannis and Embiid, these are necessary evils. If you play the blowout angle, you probably want to be underweight on somebody like Stanley Johnson. Maybe Gabriel gets a little bit more run in a blowout. Maybe somebody like THT runs out there for a little bit longer. I'll be underweight on Carmelo for sure. I think he's the first guy that gets pulled off the court if it gets out of hand. But yeah, the guys not near minimum price: Reeves, Johnson, Gabriel, Dwight Howard. I'll sprinkle all of those guys in. Carmelo is the one I'll for sure be underweight on, just because if it does get out of hand, he comes off the court.
Yeah, so Kirk D's, these Lakers, right? Stanley Johnson, 3.3K. We're projecting him to start and play 30 minutes as of right now. We're not certainly starting, but that seems where we're gonna be at. Monk at 31 minutes, and he's never seen a shot he doesn't like. He's another guy who can just, he could take 20 shots theoretically. As far as the Laker nonsense, I guess first give your thought as far as Westbrook, and then you mentioned Howard. THC is another guy in theory that can like put up a decent score for his price. Well, what do you think of all these Lakers pieces and how
Okay.
tempted you are to play them?
So what's interesting, so Meansy wrote up a breakdown on his core plays about Russell Westbrook this morning. Basically in the last 16 games that Davis has missed, LeBron has missed 2 of them, and one of them he busted, and the other one he scored like 48 fantasy points. But the problem I see here is that this is not a good matchup for Russ in any way, shape, or form. So Russ is going to have to create on his own. And what do the Mavs? What do the Lakers do? They run, right? They're so bad they can't play defense. They just try to run. They're 7th in pace. The Mavs play half court at the highest rate in the NBA, right? And they have a really strong defense, and they're going to be throwing Dorian Finney-Smith on them, right? And so Westbrook should just. I imagine he's going to be horrible tonight, right? And I think that this game's going to be a blowout. I think Luka's going to crush when he's on the floor. I just don't know how long he's going to be on the floor for, or maybe he takes his foot off the gas a little bit at points and lets some other guys get going. It's funny because the guys I like Dwight Howard, but he's going to be the first to go, right? He's going to be one of the guys that he's going to be off with Westbrook and Carmelo. Those guys will be, maybe they'll even just let Westbrook continue on playing, just because I think that this is the end with him after the season, but who knows? But I'm kind of torn on that. Which guys I like? Malik Monk, he's going to be the guy that scores, I think, right? Like Westbrook's going to have to dish to him. He's going to be chucking up shots. He's going to have bad defensive matchups too in this game, but he's the first guy. I think Stanley Johnson is horrendous. I get it for value. And so to me, he's just like a really bad player. You got to play just because he's going to get 30 minutes, 30, might maybe get 30 minutes.
I'm not certain he's getting 30 minutes.
I'm not certain either. I have him for 24 minutes right now, but I don't like any of this. Like the one that I kind of like, because these guys are going to be chalk and they're so bad. Like I kind of like Carmelo if this game hangs around, and I kind of like Malik Monk, and I kind of like Dwight Howard if this game hangs around. If this game doesn't hang around, I guess it would be Taylor Horton Tucker. I kind of like anyway, so it would be him. Or like I think like the real low owned play that could get there for min price could be DJ Augustine in this one.
Oh wow!
I thought he was going Austin Reeves.
I mean him too potentially. But.
Yeah, Augustine's not completely nuts. He's not been great this year for what it's worth, but yeah,
I mean no one's going to play him. He's going to be unowned. It's a 5-game slate. He's min price. This game's going to be a blowout. Like I can see this one working out.
We're giving him 15 minutes right now for what it's worth, but I think Gabriel is one of the better ones, I guess, if I'm going to pick, because I feel like his minutes are most secure in most scenarios. Does that make sense? Like, I think he's a guy that can start, probably starts, and also a guy that can probably mop up. I think maybe like Howard's probably not mopping up. Johnson probably not. Maybe Anthony probably not. Westbrook not. And then we start running out of guys at some point. But
why did he only play 17 minutes in the last one against the Pelicans?
It's a good question. Was he in foul trouble?
I don't know. It's a weekend game, right?
4 personal fouls. I know he's been handsy at times.
It's probably foul trouble. It's probably foul trouble and then blow out the end of it or something. But
give me your favorite cheapie here, Keith, as far as the Lakers. And I know it's all uncomfortable, but like if you had to pick one or even rank the first 2 as far as the Lakers, you consider everything, and it's a rough question. I know
it is a rough question. I kind of think Taylor Horton Tucker might be the guy I have the most of. And give me Austin Reeves second. just to try to get a little bit off the board. I think some weird things could happen with these minutes. Like we just saw in the last game with Gabriel that we just looked at. Like there's no rhyme or reason. It looks like he had rotations in the first and third quarter. He didn't play the second or fourth quarter. I have no idea what the rhyme or reason was to that, but like the rotations could be really wonky here. So I'll be willing to take some shots on these low owned guys. I do like Dwight Howard a good amount too. We've seen him just absolutely smash out of the gate and then do nothing the rest of the game. but that's fine at 3,800. I mean, he could still be useful if he puts up 25, 30 DK points at 3,800.
That was a game the Lakers were up like 20 in, right, and blew it. Just trying. I wonder if Gabriel. I'm just curious what his plus minus was. Maybe he was getting punished for being one of the guys on the court when they were getting run. I don't know, but they keep trying for different answers there, and there's no answers. And for the Lakers, obviously, it's just not happening. What was his plus minus? He was +5 for the game, played 18 minutes. I don't know. Stanley Johnson minus 11 in 19 minutes. Westbrook minus 18 in 32 minutes. Yeesh. Well, they ended up losing by 8.
0% usage in 19 minutes. Had one turnover. No, he had a rebound. He had a rebound and a steal.
Good. I just pulled up the game flow tracker to try to figure out what was going on there. They literally played Gabriel in the first quarter, Horton Tucker in the second quarter, Gabriel in the third quarter, and Horton Tucker in the fourth.
Yes, that's what I'm saying as well. And not even, it's not like one or the other. Sometimes there's neither. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. Yeah, I think Monk might be one of my favorites. But the Gabriel minutes are concerning as well too. And I don't know. Like, I just feel better about him than like Austin Reeves, who just, you're just begging for him to hit some threes. And if he doesn't, it's not likely going to happen. Yeah. For what it's worth, Dallas, I thought they'd be better at yielding points in the paint. They're 18th worst. So I thought it'd be a little, tougher, a little slower pace. For Westbrook, that's kind of like one of those guys I want to face the teams that get like the Houstons and the Sacramentos and the Lakers. We can't face the Lakers, but you know what I mean, of the world, that they can give a bunch of points in the paint. And Dallas giving up more than I suspected. We got a final thought here, Kirkties?
No. I touted DJ Augustine. I think
we should have moved on from that. Like, that was my
that's
bad.
Right.
That's on me. Detroit and Brooklyn, 234 is the total. Another potential blowout. Detroit 14-point dogs here versus Brooklyn. Well, I'll throw it to you, Kirkties, because you alluded to liking Drummond. A fair revenge. Is it still revenge? It's not first blood, obviously, but potential revenge game here for Andre Drummond, who already said, like, yeah, I'm only here for 1 year. We all know the story. Like, I'm not going to be here next season for Brooklyn. But yeah, obviously Kyrie and Durant both good to go here in this game. Anybody else that's out? I don't know, or anybody that is out? No, right? Jeremy Grant the other side. He's got that calf.
Yeah, so that's pretty big for the Detroit side of the game. I like this game in general. I did say I do like Drummond. He's been playing pretty well. He flashed his monster ceiling. He got 31 minutes against Charlotte. This is a matchup. You get the revenge factor, but also this is a matchup where he has a real big size advantage, just like he did against Charlotte. I think he's gonna be a solid play. Brooklyn's needs every win right now, and he's playing the best for them, which is crazy at this point. A lot of people wouldn't have expected Drummond to be a key piece, but I think he is a key piece. This team desperately needed a big center, someone can rebound and hold the paint down. I don't think they need him a ton on the offensive end, but he's going to get his, especially against the undersized Isaiah Stewart. So he's ones I like a lot. And then I obviously like the Detroit side. I love Cade Cunningham tonight. He's one of my favorite plays in the slate. He's just good. He's just massive usage. You don't have to worry about Jeremy Grant taking some of that usage until it gets to blowout anymore. So it's just Cade all the way. He played 37 minutes. He's played 35, 36, 36, his minutes are great. So you're looking at 35 plus minutes against Brooklyn and who's, it's a pace up spot for them. So he's my guy. I like Bagley. Again, he's getting, good minutes now. And he'll, who's he going to end up guarding in this one? Is he going to guard KD?
I like Durant if that's the case.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, because that's the only worry I have. Like, if he just looks really bad against KD and like he ends up getting pulled for some other lineup.
Well, for who though? Like, who are they going to? Oh wait, that guy can stop him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, but like I could see
Kelly
that happening.
Olynyk.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the minutes for Bagley. He's a good fantasy point per minute producer. In the paint, like he should be able to do some work in the paint with even with Drummond and KD in there. So but I'm good with that. But those are the two guys. And then I think Killian Hayes is kind of a strong value play tonight because they're just leaning more, obviously like why do they keep playing Kojo at all? But at least they're playing him less now. The minute he's on the upwards minutes trajectory, he's cheap, he's decent. He'll be out there in garbage time too, most likely. So I'm on board, and I can get behind Sadiq Bey too.
So Hayes did close last game, but a couple housekeeping stuff. Levine is in, and Paul George expected to play tonight. So there you go. We still got nothing on Rudy Gobert. We'll talk about Utah in a second. And the other interesting thing as far as Detroit is, they're in tank season, but I think this is one of those games where they say like, hey, we're going to lose them out. The tanking's going to take care of itself. We're going to lose to Brooklyn. That's it. So we might as well play our guys. If it gets close, then maybe they could be pulse. But like I assume that like the tanking will take care of itself, and I expect Cunningham to get regular minutes. And you talked about like Stewart last game played 37 minutes for Beef Stew. We never see that. Bagley at 35. So just a ton of minutes, these guys, absence of Grant. So, yeah, I think there is some interesting pieces here. I don't know how much they're going to get the 37 or 35, but, mid 30s is pretty interesting. Keith, what do you have as far? Let's talk Detroit first. I guess they're more interesting. Killian Hayes closed last game, too. I'm not sure if I said that. Did not start. The Joseph experiment is weird, but whatever. Maybe they're figuring out, like, what's the point? Keith, Detroit, go for it.
Yeah, I have a lot of interest in Detroit. I like their chances to keep this game closer with Brooklyn than I do the Lakers' chances with Dallas. So I'm very interested. I love Killian Hayes as a value play, a great pivot off of some of those Lakers. Love Cade Cunningham to try to find a ceiling game here. And Bagley and Stewart, I'm going to mix in. I prefer Bagley of those two. Just I think has a little bit more upside than Stewart. But I'm playing all of those guys, and that's because I want some Durant and Kyrie on the other side.
Who do you prefer amongst Durant and Kyrie?
I never know how to answer this question. That's part of what led me to the Luka fade is just to make sure that I can get overweight on both of them. I think one of them has a phenomenal ceiling type game in this spot against Detroit. I'm going to go Kyrie today. He had the homecoming last game and completely bombed. So now that everybody's off him, he goes off in this one.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. For lack of trying.
He was terrible.
He tried, like he shot a lot, but it was rough. Yeah. And our ownership, by the way, does not reflect like you're saying. We're looking at Kyrie at 7-8% right now on DK. Which, that seems pretty low for a 5-gamer. There's no reason why you shouldn't play. Outside of there's some better studs, obviously, math-wise. Durant at 15 for what it's worth. Killian Hayes is getting the most ownership in this game on DK because of salary reasons and just kind of he makes stuff happen. We're looking at 24%, Bagley for 20%, projecting 32 minutes. Beef Stew at 29 minutes. Again, we've seen more. I'm not saying we're going to get it. Just interesting. Kirkies, what can you add?
Nothing. I mean, I went over the Pistons. I like Drummond on the other side, and I'm fine with, I certainly think that Kyrie or Durant could be the top stud on the slate if things break right. So it's one of those guys, max of one, obviously.
You got a preference, or it's just one of those where like you don't know?
I don't know. I usually kind of lean Durant at all times, but it seems like a game that Durant could dominate, and I think he'll be out there trying to dominate for as long, just to make sure they get the win. They need these wins right now.
Keith, if you're playing Cunningham, are you putting something in your script where you have to get one of Durant or Kyrie?
Yes, I do like to do that.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like if you're spending that amount of money on Cunningham, you're assuming the game's gonna be fairly close, reasonably close, or close enough where one of the other guys on the other side can thrive. If Cunningham's getting there, you got to think one of those two gets there in theory.
Right.
Did you have a take as far as Drummond's?
Bruce Brown revenge too. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. We're not playing Bruce Brown though, right? I don't know. How vengeful is Bruce Brown? Where is he in the
I know.
scale?
Well, if
Do we have metrics for that?
I just looked at his game logs against Detroit, and they do not. He doesn't. It's like he loves them over there.
Well, I mean, I think the highest, yeah, like if you're hitting the top, you're hitting, that's like the John Wick territory, right? I don't know what who's like the least vengeful person. I'm not really sure who that is, but yeah, I don't know who would be the least vengeful person in history.
I used to think. I mean, I used to think it was. Remember, like Kawhi was like had the worst revenge game first.
Very
against the
passive.
Spurs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's are we going to see him this year? We're not seeing him. They basically said he's going to be out. We're not seeing him, right? Not happening.
I don't think so. I think it's just PG.
Yeah, that'd be amazing if just behind door. Oh, here's Kawhi.
I'm just so I want to say I'm going on record as I was all psyched for the Celtics, and now that Robert Williams looks like he's going to be out, to me he's been the key for that team. I mean, obviously Jason and Jalen are the actual keys, but like in order to make the winning word, he was the secret sauce. And yeah, so at this point now I'm free rolling because I don't expect them to make it. So it's like I have an emotional free roll now at this point.
But you also have financial dollars invested on them.
Yeah,
right?
But that wasn't that much. It just whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to normal people, not a baller like you, Curtis.
22-1 is still good price on that.
Well, it's not 22-1 anymore though, right? It's like 15 or something.
It was down to 9 or something.
Okay, yeah.
What's it? I'll check.
How much did Williams with the needle? And he could be back, right? Like round 2 pop.
It doesn't sound like it.
It's a bummer.
But let's see. Keep going, Dean. I'll tell you in a second. It's
we can move on to Utah versus the Clippers.
They're still on DraftKings. They're 9.5 to 1 to win it all. Closing line value. That's all I can do, Dean. All I can do is grab that closing line value, and then the players got to play.
So who's coming out of the East now? It's not going to be Boston. Who's going to be now?
I haven't decided yet. I'd say maybe I would say.
Oh yeah, after this game tonight.
Yeah. Is it a potential Eastern Conference final matchup? Could they theoretically? I guess they could, right? They could see each other, I think. Well, yeah, because we don't 1 through 4 is just kind of jumbled. Like that. Yeah, they're going to be somewhere in 1 through 4. Yeah, maybe we'll see that. That'll be fun. We're moving on, right, Keith?
Yes.
Yes. All right. We're talking about Utah. The Clippers, 217.5 is the total in the game. We're expecting Paul George to play. I don't know how much he will play, but I feel reasonably confident to say he's not going to play enough to justify a $9K DK salary or $44 on Yahoo or 9.3 on FanDuel. Would you guys agree on that?
Yes, agreed.
Curtis?
Yep, I agree.
Will you play anybody on the Clippers tonight? Because everybody else gets their incremental hits, obviously. Yeah, the only interesting one, and it's ambitious, is Hartenstein, because you've seen it. He's cheap enough on DK, but I don't have anybody. I don't think I'm playing anybody in the Clippers, and if I do, it's because the Gobert news didn't go my way or something like that. That's basically what happened. But Curtis, you want to sell me on a Clipper?
I've got nothing to sell, Dean.
Nothing available for purchase.
No.
How about yourself, Keith?
Yeah, Hardenstein is the only one I would consider, and don't really love that either.
He's somebody you can use though, like in your 2v2 you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Because he's somebody like a replacement potentially. Yeah.
Yep.
How about Utah? Well, we're not really certain. We'll see. And again, this game is 2 hours after. No, wait, 2.5 hours after the Detroit Brooklyn game, Island game essentially. And again, if you aren't aware, just kind of tuned in. Rudy Gobert, he's got a leg, so he's questionable. Bogdanovich is questionable with his calf. Dan House is questionable. We do know Whiteside is out, so if Gobert goes, we've seen his minutes be a little bit higher when Whiteside is out, and Utah does have stuff to play for. Clippers don't. They're just where they're at, and that's that. It's not changing. And they've talked about the soft minutes caps on some of their players too, and Arjax and Morris and Batum at 19, whatever. So yeah, Utah. I don't know what we could say. If then stuff, Keith, go for it.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to build with underweight on Gobert from the start, just so I have less to move around if he ends up missing this game. And I definitely want 2 guys at least from this game Probably going to end up with mostly 2 Jazz players. So like a Gobert Conley pairing. Don't mind Clarkson possibly. The Bogdanovich news is just as important as the Gobert news to me, because I'm not sure I want to play Donovan Mitchell if Bogdanovich is back. Not a great matchup against the Clippers. They've been decent on the defensive end. Paul George coming back, historically great defender. No idea what he looks like in his first game back. But I just don't like targeting this game. And the only reason I'm even building with it in is just in case Gobert sits, I don't want to get burned by some of the value torching me. Or if Gobert and Bogdanovich both sit, maybe Mitchell becomes one of the top plays on the slate. So I want to have a little bit of exposure just so I have some roster spots to work with. But I don't love the game overall at all.
Do you think you'll have some lineups, like a bunch of lineups with just nothing in this game? And you have a nice screenshot before this game starts?
I will have some lineups like that, but probably not too many, just because I think the news does matter. I'm not terribly concerned about Gobert just torching me. Like, I think Vooch can keep pace with him. I'm going to play plenty of Embiid. So I feel good about my center spots. I'm more worried about Gobert sitting and then somebody like Mitchell torching me, or somebody like, I don't know, Greg Monroe or Rudy Gay. I don't know.
I think they have enough bodies that one doesn't completely smack like that. If Gobert doesn't play, a combination of Gay, Hernan Gomez, Pascal, and the Moose, like Greg Monroe might get dusted off. So maybe you could argue there's enough bodies. They cut that pie off enough that not one guy, just 10 X's or whatever. Like, I think that can happen too. So that's what I'm telling myself, at least. What do you think?
Yeah, but if you're building with like Gafford and Dwight early, and both of those guys go for like 18 DK points, and one of those guys gets to 25, you probably need the guy that got to 25.
Yeah. Hernan Gomez is now 4K. Gay is 3-4 though. Like, I think he was the guy that rose above everybody last game, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not this great matchup against the Clippers. They're not a fun, and they get a little better defensively. Like you said, who knows what Paul George is doing defensively these days, but historically pretty good defender. Kirk Dees, what are you doing with the Utah side as of 6:00 on the East Coast?
I don't really like this game. To be honest with you, both of these teams are playing slower lately, so they're slow in general. Jazz are 23rd on the season in pace. Clippers are 18th. Over the last 15 games, the Jazz have been 27th in pace. The Clippers have been 23rd. So it's just they've been trending down. They're playing slower. We got the minutes cap on the Clippers sides on some of these players. Now we don't even know if they're real or not, but I guess we got to continue to respect what they say. I mean, and they have a bunch of bodies, and the Clippers just got Brandon Boston back, whatever, and like. So they have bodies, like they're not good ones. So like the guys that I would lean to, like Amir Kofi, like for value, just because I think that he'll probably play a good amount of minutes. I think Terrence Mann I could get, but that's just so gross on this slate. I think this slate is gross in general. The more that we've talked about this, and
it's gross, but they're all potentially profitable. Yeah, we're all doing the same terrible slate.
Yeah, I know. It's just, but it's like I just like I'm going over this, and I just like after what I've been through with these Portland games, I'm just like I need a day off. But I'm playing tonight. Donovan Mitchell would be my guy. I always like Donovan Mitchell. I don't really like, obviously if Gobert's out, like there's more usage to be had and stuff like that, but he's the high usage guy anyway on this team. He can go off in any matchup regardless. I like him. Rudy Gay was the guy who they started Pascal, I believe, against Dallas. And he was so bad they had to get him out of there quickly, and Rudy got all the minutes, and he paid off. If Rudy gets the minutes, I like him again in this spot for 3,400, assuming Gobert is out. He'll be the guy that I think, him and Wancho, but I don't think I have to like build around this game. I'm just content making my lineup. I've kind of planted my flag on the games that I like, and I'm just going to roll with that tonight.
Are you guys like me? Are you excited for the Adam Sandler, Juancho Hernan Gomez, like the Air Up There remake? You guys know this is coming on Netflix? Do you know what I'm talking about? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
No.
Nope.
Okay, so Kirk Dees, have you seen the Kevin Bacon vehicle, the Air Up There?
No.
Are you aware of Kevin Bacon, the degrees of?
Kevin Bacon, the actor.
Yes, he discovers
Footloose and
not Footloose, but yeah. Well, okay. Well, Juancho Hernan Gomez is going to be starring in an Adam Sandler movie where Adam Sandler discovers playing him in like the streets of Spain or something like that. Coming in Netflix to a theater to Netflix near you. Get excited.
So who was the star in the air up there? Was it
somebody
Shaq?
was saying? I remember
who was the basketball player that they found?
I think so. I once heard somebody say it was like Dikembe Mutombo's brother. I don't know if that's true or not. He discovered him in Africa, which I believe Mutombo is African. Yeah, it's not a player you'd know. It might be Mutombo's brother, or somebody maybe lied to me, because I remember somebody saying that at one point. But
isn't there a new White Men Can't Jump coming out too?
I think they're going to remake that. Yeah, they just had like a 30-year reunion of it, but I think they're talking about because you got to remake everything. They want to ruin our childhood.
What a movie that's a great movie though.
Good movie, yeah, for sure. Can you name 5 fruits that start with Q? It's a great
really? I can't do it.
Quiche, you got quiche, right? Quid, I think is one. I don't know. That's a money. I don't think that's a food. Whatever. It's the scene with what's her name? Rosie Perez. All right, we got some questions loading up here in chat. Let's knock these out. We kind of touched on this before, but we can reiterate. Keith, your favorite game stacks? Favorite in air quotes, maybe? I don't know.
With Levine in, it's more difficult, but I still think as like a game stack of like 4 or more players, it's still Chicago, Washington.
Devin's telling me that Mutombo's brother played college basketball in Division II at University of Southern Indiana. I don't know if that was the same guy. I assume that was the same guy. Is he confirming that? But yeah, maybe it was. Oh, oh yeah, LeBron is out and Anthony Davis is out too. Thank you. Yeah, we kind of what we expected. Maybe we'll see LeBron on I think Wednesday. But all right, did you have a thought there, Kirk? These your favorite game stacks?
Yes, I like the studs from the Bucks Sixers. I like the value from the Bulls Wizards, and I also like getting some Pistons and Nets. So those are my 3 games, and then get me off of all this Lakers value, and I don't care about the Jazz Clippers. I know I should, but I don't care at this point.
Kirk D's Cranesters is saying DK tournaments. I'm landing on Stanley Johnson, so that's how today is going. Any thoughts on him? And give me a sound effect when you think of Stanley Johnson. What's the sound effect where Mario dies? How does that go when he falls down the hole? But like I might play him too begrudgingly. We'll see. And Keith, is that kind of where you're at in Stanley Johnson as well? It's like we don't want to play him obviously, but maybe.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
I'd rather play head chopper than for
who's his comp? Is he like Gary Bird out there? I've never seen Chop play.
Chop had an electric putback in the RG game, honestly. But the only thing about Chop, he was the first guy that I've ever played full court with that wore a hat the whole time. I don't know why, but he did. I don't know why.
Smith's blocking DC was like the most memorable thing I can recall, and it's video. It's out there on Twitter somewhere, but I don't remember much else. All right, so FanDuel tournament single entry. How many studs in one lineup? Keith, how many studs in one lineup? Well, you're probably playing Luka, almost definitely. Are you spending up? So you tell me how many studs you think is on FanDuel again, where it's much easier to get those studs.
What are we calling a stud? 9K and above, or
use your own discretion? Like Donovan Mitchell's a stud, right? I think.
Yeah. So if we're including the 8K range too, I think you can play 3.
All right. So Kirk D's, how are we feeling about Royce O'Neal? It's another one. Yeah.
I'm fine with him, to be honest with you. Again, we're like a lot of this value is all sketchy, and Royce fits that as well. I mean, Royce is going to be fine, I think, right? He's going to give you.
He'll put up about 20, maybe 22.
Yeah,
24.
That could be just fine, and he could get a boost if everybody breaks up. If everybody's out in that game.
Keith, will the Washington value pieces be lower owned than the Laker value pieces? I've not looked at that specifically, but I'm sure you've looked at it better than I have.
I believe that they will. Yes. Looks to me just first glance like they're in the 15 to 20% range, and the Lakers are mostly 25% ish. So yeah, I do think the Washington pieces will be a little bit lower owned.
On that conversation, somebody wants to know about Reeves as a Laker cheapie. Who wants to sell me on Reeves or sell anybody on Reeves? Anybody want that one?
I mean, I alluded to him a little bit earlier. I don't mind it. I don't have any real conviction behind it other than he has a chance to play 30 minutes. And at 3,500 on DK, if he's out there for 35 minutes, maybe he runs into 25 to 30 DK points.
Kirky's DK tournaments, ABC and Harden or ABC and Bede? Who, if you're going to play Giannis, who do you want to pair him with theoretically?
Well, I think the popular play is going to be to run it with Embiid. And so I just have this feeling that Harden's going to show up tonight. So that's where I'm going.
Keith, DK, would you make a rule to get 3 guys in your lineup in the last game? I absolutely would not, because the Clippers are the worst team to be involved in like the game that swap to. So no way is my answer.
I agree with you, but the rule I would make is if you have a guy from that game, you need another guy from that game.
Yes.
So like if you have Gobert, make sure you include like a Jazz group with him to play any, like you have six other Jazz guys in your group, you must include one guy from that group. That's what I would, how I would.
Unless you want to take on the inherent risk of like playing Gobert a la carte, which is, it's risky. There's absolutely risk to that. And you're going to be in a tough spot if he doesn't play. Right. Obviously do your best to get those guys in utility if you can. Are we into Embiid? Yeah, we like Embiid. I don't know if he's like, a premier, absolutely like favorite spend up, but we like him. Right, Kirkies? We like Embiid.
Yeah, but the angle I'm playing is Harden tonight, so I'm going to be off him. But yeah, he's a top stud on the slate, right? So you gotta have some Embiid.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better about Embiid than Kirkwood does. I think I'll take Embiid over Harden. He is one of my favorite studs on the slate.
Keith, I'm going to give you a second for this. Cransters wants a DK tournament forward 4.6K or under. Good luck with that. tell me your favorite forward on DK at 4.6K. And this kind of like is the conversation on the whole slate. I'll ask Kirk D's thoughts on Amir Coffey. They seem to be getting his minutes up. I
agree with that, and I think he's fine. All these guys are just like fine.
Any interest in Covington? Like, no. I say no.
No. So Carmelo is the guy I said I wanted to fade. Don't love. We're projecting DFS at 21%. No, thank you on that. So then you're looking like
not happily.
Yeah, right. But that's what we're dealing with. So Reggie Bullock, I mean, like Satoransky is my favorite.
Sato would be my guy.
He has
too.
Small forward eligibility.
Yep. Yeah, I think I like Satoransky amongst that. When you consider the salary too, he's not completely at that. Yeah, fair enough. By the way, somebody's asking the last guys I've drafted in my best ball draft. It finished today, thankfully, 54 rounds. Last like 6 or 7 picks, George Kirby. Get excited. He could actually be a stud. We'll see. I don't know if he's pitching this year. Ruben Odor, Eric Thames, Chris Archer, Simon, Minnesota. Ryan Jeffers. That's how deep this league is. Cole Wynn, prospect for Texas, and Brandon Williamson, my very last pick, the guy in the Seattle trade to Cincinnati. Maybe he gets some run this year. Drummond, sell the people on Drummond there, Kirkies.
Oh, you're getting Trent. He flashed a massive ceiling in his last game. This is a good matchup for him. I think he's cheap enough on these sites. I think there's a lot of upside on that play.
Hey, Kirkies, I'm giving you the yappy question. You usually crush these, so no pressure.
No, that's just it's for Keith. He crushes these.
Okay.
The two players you're overweight on. Yeah. So Keith, DK tournaments, 2 guys. You're going to go severely. You're making 60 lineups hypothetically. I think you're making 20, but make it 60. Give me the 2 guys you're going severely overweight on in the mini max.
Embiid is definitely one, and then I will let Yappy pick his favorite Brooklyn star, Durant or Kyrie. It's going to be one of them. I don't know which one. So Embiid, and then your pick of Durant or Kyrie.
Kirk D's, DK, single entry, sleeper, low owned combo for all the monies. Before you answer, I'll give you a second. I'll just say this. Understand when you're playing single entry contest, the good stuff gets elevated. Everything gets elevated. Our projections as far as ownership, Like if we're projecting a guy for 25, 30%, that's for large field and almost definitely, almost always, that's going to be higher. The chalk gets pushed up in these single entry stuff. So you could be sleeper-ish, a little bit off the reservation and get a guy that's really good at like 6%, 7%. Did I give you enough time, Kirk Dees, to come up with an answer?
What was the question?
Oh my God.
I didn't think you didn't give me, was it just my two favorite?
So DK single entry, a sleeper
Yeah.
low owned combo. Like they want to maybe like a correlation play of some sort.
Combo, Pete? What is this? I don't give combos.
Two guys in the same game that like might be low owned in single entry again.
I love Vooch tonight.
Okay.
So I'm going to get, he's going to be pretty popular. I think he's probably not going to be too popular unless, and Levine's playing, right? So I love him. And then on the other side, Porzingis, I guess, but that's fine. That's kind of lowish owned.
Keith, can you have an answer for that by chance on hand? We got to go, but I'm just curious. You might have an answer.
I wasn't paying attention. I was responding to Yappy.
The key is to finish strong. All right. That was the Rotogrinders basketball show. We do appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Again, baseball around the corner starting next year. Going to be working double duty for a couple of days, I imagine. But if you guys are premium members, if we did not answer your question, you can go ahead and ask that to the premium show. Crunch Time on rotogrinders.com. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, do hit that like button, do subscribe, do turn on those notifications. That stuff is appreciated. That was Kirk Dees. That was Devin producing. That was Keith. That was basketball. I was Dean. Good luck tonight. We're out of here. Oh.